Live from Kent, this is The Late Late Show with Toby Payne Cook and Ed Finch. And you are listening live.
Good evening. It's not just Kent. It's Kent, Devon, two finest counties. Ed's in Devon, I'm in Kent. Good evening. A happy new year. I don't know how long we can go into January before saying Happy New Year is the one. It's the first time we've spoken live on air since the start of 2023. So, welcome everybody.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and you are listening live. Tune in live at ttradio.org or join in the conversation by downloading the Podbean app and following Teachers Talk Radio. Hashtag TT Radio.
Hey, Ed.
Hello. Hey.
I got to say Happy New Year to you at midnight on the 1st, but
we may even have embraced, my friend. I don't recall very clearly. I don't know why. Anyway, Happy New Year to you, my friend, and also Happy New Year to all of our listeners.
Happy New Year to all of our listeners and all of our listen backers as well, which is a lot more people than our live listeners, I believe. So I'm so told.
You bet.
And good evening to Christine, who has successfully downloaded the Podbean app and therefore can contribute.
David's in, Christine's in. Anyone else? That's it. That's two. That's enough.
Lucy is in, and I think I don't know. That's it so far. Good evening, everyone. Anyway, so Ed, you've only just gotten from work apparently.
Just got in, mate. Just got in a second.
The microwave going in the background.
The microwave is defrosting the soup. The soup was in the freezer.
Dulcet whir. I can hear its dulcet whir in the background. Unless Douglas.
I shall move further away from it.
Unless, of course, Douglas has adopted some new form of monotonous speech. Anyway, so what's new then? No potholes tonight.
No potholes. Wasn't even icy on the way home. It was very icy this morning. On the way home, roads clear. Lovely.
Lovely. Poor Gemma, my daughter, driving to school yesterday. She slid on some black ice and pranged the front.
Went in a tree.
Hit a tree. How
was the tree? Is the tree okay?
The tree. It was more of a hedgy bush than a tree, I think. It was all right. It was a pretty low impact hit, but it was enough to dent the bonnet and bust the plastic grill on the Fiesta. So we went to see Pete at Full Circle in Marden. He's very unlikely to be listening to this show ever, but Pete is one of those guys who he sorted out my Land Rover a few years ago, bodywork specialist. And he sorted out my Land Rover when Ollie drove that into a friend's tree on an off-road course on his farm. On Farmer Guy, we know Farmer Guy. Number one Farmer Guy has an off-road track in his woods, and Ollie.
That's diversification, isn't it? I like that off-road track.
It's more for his own pleasure actually, but he does have meat days there occasionally. Yeah, it's a good bit of diversification. Yeah, good.
I like that.
Yeah. Anyway,
but if you're going to shout out your man, then I'm going to shout Russell at Grease Monkeys. Russell managed to sort out my wheel for me last week after I had that very bad experience. Which delayed this show, didn't it? Yeah, that was this. Actually, it feels like a long time ago. That was this time last week that I was trudging back in the dark, leaving my car sticking out of a hedge. Well, it's fine now.
Yeah. Oh, what's happening to my screen? There we go. Yes. No. Good. Well, I'm glad you're okay. And so Gemma's fine. Christine's asked if Gemma's okay. And just now that Christine's testing her ability to type, Gemma is spelt with a J. Our Gemma, which she was nearly Jemima, but I felt that had one syllable too many, so we just took out the I.
Just took out the mind.
She became Gemma with a J. But yes, Gemma is normally spelt with a G, more typically. Absolutely. There we go. Anyway, that's right. No worries. So, what are we going to talk about today? This is our New Year show. We haven't done one since we did a one-off Christmas special, which I enjoyed. We sang lots of carols and stuff, and it feels a little bit far into the new year in the way to be thinking of sort of New Year-y things, because we are the 18th of January today. We are going to spend a bit of time later on, I think, perhaps after the news, talking about what we're looking forward to in 2023, and positive things, and we're not new year, new me necessarily, but all that sort of stuff, or things we're looking forward to in work or play,
Yeah.
but before that, and it does feel a long time ago now, but I think we were going to play a bit of, we're going to have our own sort of discuss our own Christmas 101s, things that we've experienced over Christmas that we'd like never to
It does seem a
experience
little
again.
bit late, that, doesn't it?
It's fun a bit late for that.
Let's see.
Winter
We
101s, if
haven't
you want
done
to put
this.
winter 101s, I mean, I think potholes go straight
Win-
into winter 101.
Potholes can. Now, this is a part of climate change that I don't think I particularly thought of, but I swear that the speed with which the roads in rural Devon are just falling to pieces is remarkable. Roads which were passable on Tuesday are now nothing but rutted tracks. Yeah, it's a shocker. Potholes. That ended up costing me £225 just to replace that blooming tyre because the stupid locking nuts on an Audi wouldn't come off. I'll put that in. It's not really a winter thing, but special bespoke locking nuts that won't come off.
Yes.
Oh dear! I've got the guys to drill them out. That's partly why it cost me £200. It's just drill all the bolts.
Yours is an Audi A3, isn't it? Yours is an Audi A3. I've had that before. We inherited when I was still married. We inherited Amanda's late mother's Audi A3, which she bought as a toy after Amanda's father had died, and she used to drive this turbo diesel Audi A3 like an absolute idiot with our very young children in the back of it, and Amanda used to get really annoyed. But that we inherited, and I rather liked it. It was a nippy thing, and I seem to remember having some sort of locking nut crisis with that. I had to go up, to get that sorted out. Actually, So Audi locking nuts.
Because they make the nuts themselves out of hardened steel. They make the special little adapter that goes into them out of cheese. So it shears, leaving the hardened steel locking nut firmly in place, and you're left at the side of the road going. Well, I said a bad word. I did, but I don't very often. As you know, I'm not a person who uses foul language easily. But I was a mile and a half away from the nearest mobile signal after a very long day. I didn't think it was funny at all at the time.
No.
I think it's quite funny now.
No, anyway, it's not funny at all. But on the talking of just locking nuts and the torque and of doing up wheels, I was told off once as well. I think when I tried to change a wheel on a car, which I have done many times before in my youth, in when cars were simpler and but they'd been tightened up. The nuts had been tightened up too much or something by me, and so I got told off because I couldn't get it off or something. So I had to get the RAC or the AA to come and sort it out. And the AA said you should always get us to do it because
that's how we make our money.
It's how we make our money, and also garages. A lot of garages, not own brand garages, the normal sort of mechanics garages. They often over tighten them apparently, because put the they need to be tight, but not too tight, and they get they just put that noisy thing
That's
on,
right.
and it just
I had
over
exactly this conversation. Exactly this conversation with the guy who came out to rescue me. Yeah, they do it so it's tight. You need to do it so it's just tight because it will tighten as it cools. So as you go, you put quite a lot of heat into it because there's a lot of friction as you're turning. Now,
can you do the vrr again? Your vrr was better than mine. Do it again.
Did I do that?
Oh no, the first one was better. First one was better. It's a brilliant noise.
I can't remember how I did it. No. If anybody out there in Radioland can do a better impression of an air-powered thingy-doo-dah.
Air-powered spanner. Yeah.
Don't you call me an air-powered spanner? That's not very polite, is it? Flipping heck.
Anyway, okay. So, right, we're putting potholes, let's talk about potholes a bit more though, because
really, shall we? I don't know. Have we not? Okay, tell me about your best pothole.
No, my best pot. I hit a pothole on Plain Road, which was the road I used to live on in Marden, a most inappropriately titled road name for me to live on, I think. So I had to get divorced to stop that from being living on Plain Road. Anyway, and so, but Plain Road had. Yeah, the best. I hit a big pothole and got a puncture in the process. This was probably about 3 or 4 winters ago. But I think roads are, it's a freeze thaw cycle and water, and so and there's less money to spend on these things, and there's more traffic, there's more friction, there's more wear and tear, there's more erosion because cars are heavier these days because of all the sort of Chelsea tractors. I'd say also tractors themselves down in Devon and rural Kent are much, much heavier than they used to be, and the loads that they carry on these rural roads in the summer and sort of spring and autumn. So there's a lot of, the roads are not as thick and sturdy to the traffic they're carrying as they used to be, perhaps. They have to carry a lot more traffic. But also, if you have a lot more rainfall, which we do, I think, these days, or more intense rainfall, and then you get the freeze and freeze thaw. And when I was developing chemical products with Zeneca Agrochemicals, we used to do a lot of freeze, suspensions and stuff, a lot of freeze thaw cycles to stress them, because you get just so I think that's a reason why the roads break up so easily. But
it definitely is. Yeah, no, you get any small fissure, you get a bit of freeze thaw, a bit of, as I like to refer to it, as congelifraction.
Oh, really?
Congelifraction in there, yeah. That's what
have you just made up that word? Because
I've remembered it from A-level geography, my friend.
Say that again.
30 years of my life, that word has been carried around in my head. That may be the first time I've had the opportunity to use it.
Well, certainly on this radio show.
Knowledge.
Come on, say it.
Rich curriculum there.
You turned into Susie Dent. So the word for the day on Toby and Ed's radio show is.
We could do that across the network, couldn't we? We could have a word of the day section.
Word of the day, Susie Dent's word of the day. So what? But say the word again, please.
So it's congelifraction. Fraction, of course, means breaking things up, doesn't it?
Yes.
Fraction. Congeli, I feel like it must be sort of
like congeal.
Like congeal, yeah. So congelifraction, the splitting of the breaking up of soil or I don't know, whatever, rocks and things as a result of freeze thaw action. Yeah, it's a good word, isn't it?
It's a good word, but the reason
from my A-level geography.
It's a real word, and I trust you and believe you. But the reason I've challenged you on that is because only this evening did I retweet a clip from Blackadder when Hugh Laurie's character is chatting with Dr. Johnson about all his words and the publishing of his new book, and then Edmund Blackadder comes in and starts talking about all these words and makes up these wonderful words, and one of them sounded very much like that, but it wasn't. It was con something fibulation or something. Yes. So that it was just sort of
from the Latin congelare, fractioned, meaning breaking. And if only I was on a better website, I'd be able to tell you more about it. But there you go. However, you'll be interested to know that it's related to another lovely word which I've never seen across before. Congeliturbate, and I'm going to look at that now.
Congeliturbate. You can't say that without
Congeliturbate, earth material disturbed by frost action, usually appearing as a rubble coarser than the underlying material. Congeliturbate. See, we haven't.
That's a great word. Congeliturbate.
That's a jolly good word, isn't it?
Congeliturbate, because it ends in tebate. It's always good, isn't it? Anyway,
so then you get congeliturbation. That's a great word.
And do you get a painting by Salvador Dali called the Congelabata
Congelabation of the Christ or something? Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. Anyway, there you go. Well, Winter 101 is definitely you're going to put your pothole in there. I also think you're going to put. I think you can, and I think you can put in the month of January.
Let's put in the whole
think-
month of January. That sorts everything out. The month of January, because
Mm.
although with these cold, frosty days that we have been having these last few days around the place, we have seen some sun, which is important. But sun is a rare thing in January. Even if it's a sunny day in January, it's not a very long day. And most of the time, it's been so far until the last couple of days, where it's now all gone icy and treacherous. It has been grey and wet.
Today was just nasty with it wasn't nice snow, was it? It was nasty snow.
You had snow down there, didn't you? A little bit of snow down there. My mum said she's had some snow, but we haven't had any snow up in Kent.
I don't think there was very much
a bit of
snow
sleet
up the
the other
top end,
morning,
mate, around by your mum's.
Hmm?
Yeah, it was just slushy and horrible. People who live up farm tracks and up the steep hills couldn't get anywhere, you know, but people along the main roads were just cursing slush. It wasn't very pretty, it wasn't very nice, and the children argued about it. They didn't frolic in it, you know, they didn't like make sounds, they just argued about whose snow it was. You can't have that, that's my snow. It's all snow. And as it melted through the day, the resource became more scarce, and that promoted greater conflict. Because the snow disappeared. They came and said, the year fives have taken all the snow. No, they haven't. It's melted. They didn't steal the snow. There's a kid pushing a great big snowball around, which I've been working on for like a long time, making the biggest snowball they could. And all these kids, not fair. She's taken all the snow. I'm like, well, I don't really think that's how it works.
People who think that another child has taken all the snow, perhaps they should go into room 101 as well.
Absolutely, they should, and we should let the rats in with them.
Yes. Good evening to a couple of new joiners. Good evening, Tom is in, and Maxim is in, and Paul Fox, and a Lampco Promise. Hello. Good evening. So I've probably pronounced the Lampco wrong. Sorry. Anyway. Christine wants to put gym treadmills in room 101. Maxim.
Yeah, I reckon.
School closures, snow in Isle of Man, or school closures in Isle of Man.
I don't imagine they get much snow in the Isle of Man. Am I wrong? Maxim did tell me. I kind of imagine it to be a bit like the Seychelles, because it's an island, isn't it? And islands are always...
Isle of Man has never been compared to the Seychelles before, Ed. Have you been to the Isle of Man, Ed?
I've never been, and I should go because the capital city is named after my son, which I thought was very sweet of them.
It is. I've not been to the Isle of Man. Amanda's been to the Isle of Man because of for tax reasons. Anyway, we won't go there, and we won't mention Nadim Zahawi either. Okay,
let's not mention him.
Let's not do that.
I'll tell you what. I haven't told you this. You don't know this. Do you know what my big adventure today was?
No.
I don't know quite why this is
we need more suspense.
In my mind to Nadim Zahawi, but never mind.
We need more suspense. Wait, your big adventure. Hang on. Do we need a bit of this? Hang on. Wait a minute. Well, let's create some suspense.
Maybe we should create suspense by not doing it till after the news or something.
No. We're gonna. Hang on.
People can suggest in the chat what they think my big adventure today was.
I don't know why.
Edgeland's big adventure.
Here we are.
Well, okay, so no.
All right, Ed's big adventure.
My big adventure was the day I was on the Jeremy Vine show.
Were you?
That's exciting, isn't it? Yeah, it was. I was on the telly.
Were you talking to Marina Purkis?
I don't know, but it was.
You're on the radio show, not the TV one. You were on
I was on the telly.
You're on the telly.
I was on the telly. Wow. What's her name? Marina Purkis. It's like me having
Marina Purkis. She's quite active on Twitter. She's blonde and reasonably attractive, and she's very anti the Tory government, and I like her for that very much.
She definitely wasn't on it. Look, here's my tea. Douglas has brought me my tea.
Hi, Douglas. Is he still traumatised by watching us two get drunk on New Year's Eve?
Hang on a sec. I'm not wearing headphones. Toby says, are you still traumatised by watching us two lose control of our mental and physical capacities on New Year's Eve?
Good Lord, yes.
Good Lord, yes, he says.
Good Lord,
yes. I do need to fix the door, Douglas, but I need to get hold of a plane for that. If anybody in Radio Land has got hold of an electric plane I could borrow, that would be very handy because it's very difficult to open and close my door at the moment. Right, no, it wasn't Marina Purkis. It was, I don't know who, some two, there were like three ladies, none of whom did I recognise. One of them broadly agreed with me. One of them broadly disagreed with me. One of them pretended to be neutral, but was clearly a Tory in disguise. That's how that
And
programme
you were
works.
talking about teacher strikes, were you?
I was. The debate, we had a heated debate on whether we should support the striking teachers. I felt that we should. I
Yes.
mean, that may not surprise you, but
No,
I felt we should.
It doesn't
And the
surprise me,
panel
and
was split.
I'm with you. Although I work in an independent school, so it's a bit different. I'm not sure how it works in an independent school. If I'm a member of the NEU,
Hmm. You're
but
entitled to strike then, yeah.
I am,
Well, you may
yeah,
choose not to. That's
it's
entirely
a
up to
bit
you.
tricky.
But
It's a bit tricky,
in
isn't
terms
it?
of industrial action, your industrial action is justified in exactly the same way.
Mm,
Promise you, yeah.
yeah. So yes, so you were. That's brilliant. You were on there. You were in. Were you called into the studio? Were you actually in the studio?
No, I was standing outside in the snow, trying to look like my phone was a real camera. I propped it up in the beams of an oaken shed frame and looked sincerely into it.
And how
But,
were you found and chosen by the Jeremy Vine show, Ed?
I'll tell you what happened. I am part of a Twitter DM group for head teachers where we share our woes and take the mick and things. And the guy who tweets as at secret head teacher said that he'd been approached by the Jeremy Vine show, but he couldn't do it for some reasons, whether it was because he didn't fancy it or whether he had some reason why he couldn't, I don't know. But that they were looking for a head teacher who would go on and talk about whether we should support teachers in their industrial action. And I'm always very aware that there are people out there that we don't want to take that place. And so I would much rather that I end up doing it than some other voices that might step into the gap. So I'm like, well, if you can't do it, point them my way. So they pointed
Yeah.
my way, and I did it. So I think you want someone on there who'll make a decent fist of it. And I don't flatter myself, but I think I do a reasonably
you're pretty
decent
good at
job
that.
of it.
You're
And there's
good at that
people I
stuff.
wouldn't want doing it. So
No.
yeah.
Oh well done, Ed. That's fantastic. I'll probably try and find and look that up somehow. It's probably
Well,
available
maybe I should,
somewhere.
or maybe I should avoid it for the rest of my life, because no matter how good anybody else tells me it was, I will believe it was awful. I cannot
Yeah.
stand the sight of myself or the sound of myself, which is a bit stupid if I'm going to have a radio show. But you know how it is when you hear your voice on tape and you just think, "Oh Lord."
Yeah.
So yeah, I will never watch that. I don't know if it was good or bad. I genuinely don't. I have no idea, but did my best, and it was.
But I'm sure you
apart from being
did. I'm sure you
national
did.
telly,
And
how many
Maxim,
people do you think watch that Jeremy Vine show? I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. Not it's. I don't know. I don't know. What channel's it
do you
on?
think it's more or less than this show?
Oh, definitely less. No, it's a few more. It's a few more. Just a few, you know. But Maxim, solidarity and respect to all teachers taking action. I think that's a very fair and good statement.
Yeah.
And well done, EF from Christine. I enjoyed watching on Channel 4 when Mary Bowstead was on Channel 4 News last night. Was it last night with or was it the night before? Maybe I can't remember. It might have been the night before now. And she was with a teacher called Sarah, surname I can't pronounce. It begins with S and it's got Z's and Y's in it. And I met her at the Rethinking Ed conference. She's co-head teacher of a school 360 primary in East London somewhere, and I thought she was good on Channel 4 with Mary Bowstead as well. So that's it. I wasn't planning on doing lots on the strike stuff, but we've done a bit, which is good.
We've mentioned it. Now let's move on.
Absolutely, because it's not just sorry for those of you who we haven't played the news yet, but the news is slightly out of date on that, as it only talks about the NASWUT.
UWT.
It doesn't talk
National
about
Teachers
the
Association
NEU
for
vote because it hadn't read out when the news was recorded. So our news later is good, but it's not up to date on the strike stuff. Okay,
which is one thing you want from news. If I'm honest, one thing you want from news is it to be reasonably up to date.
Yes,
Just
true,
saying.
and it's quite
in
big
today's
news.
busy news cycle. It's difficult to get away with the once weekly slot.
Yeah.
Never mind.
True, it is exactly right. We need to do some more Room 101s. So I've got a winter one as well. Before I want to go back and do a couple of Christmas ones still. But I've got a winter one people driving too fast on icy roads, particularly up your arse when going down a hill.
Good heavens.
And not
Used a
literally
bad
up my
word.
arse. I mean, sorry, I did use it. Sorry, close to the rear of my car. It's
Yes.
clearly an icy road. I could lose control of my car. I might have to apply my brakes, although I hope I don't whilst going downhill. I'm in a low gear and I am at low revs. And I'm clearly going slower than I would do if it wasn't icy conditions. And that is irritating the person behind me. And they are choosing to drive as if it is sunny and dry and warm. And there is no ice or water or anything on the road. And they're not considering the fact that if I have to apply the brakes, or if I'm a very bad driver and I do choose to apply the brakes whilst going downhill on a piece of ice without thinking, I'm likely to go into a skid, and they're likely to go. Anyway, it's daft. It's beyond daft. It's just ridiculous. I mean, we shouldn't really, if we can avoid being on the road on an icy day, but we can't, can we? So, if we're on a side street or a back road or whatever, and that's not being gritted, so that's a bit of a boring one. It's not a very funny one, but those people can go into room 101. There we go. Can I do another one, a Christmas one?
Go on. Have another one.
Christmas one, and then I'll see if you've got any Christmas ones. So these are two things that I experienced at Christmas. I've got two, but I'll see if you've got one in between my two, Ed. I think the first one is I went to church, midnight mass. I'm not a particularly religious man these days, but I was sort of brought up once a teenager that you go to midnight mass on Christmas Eve, and I took my three children who were with me on Christmas Eve, and we drunk a pretty good. Well, the two elder ones and myself had drunk a pretty good vat of leftover mulled wine from the party we had the day before. So we were quite merry at midnight mass, and in Goudhurst in Kent, in the new village that I live in, and we were all very happy. The children had never been to a midnight mass Christmas service before. They were a bit reluctant, but I said, no, we're doing this thing. And we happened to be in a pew behind another bunch of slightly merry late teenagers who Gemma happened to know one of them as well. So that was quite nice. But the church wasn't very full, and it had about 50, maybe 60 people in it. But the carols we sung were well-known carols, but no one sings. So people not singing in church, I want to go into room 101.
Oh, okay.
Now, because it's just, I don't know. I think because people aren't very used to going to church very often these days. Most people who go at Christmas for the once a year or weddings, funerals, and Christmas, right? They're just a bit nervous that they can't sing very well. Obviously, we know, avid listeners of this show know that I cannot sing at all. You can sing beautifully, Ed, but I can't.
Thank you.
And I do enjoy belting out a carol or a hymn that I know well, because it does make you feel good, and it also fills the church up, and it creates a bit of atmosphere, and so. But I think it's just weird that people are obviously a bit scared of sounding odd or not.
It's a bigger thing than that, isn't it? Church is not a show that you go to watch. Church is a service which you go to participate in. You're not going to be judged on. Nobody's going to say, "Oh, you were a good singer or a bad singer." I know. I mean, as you know, I am the leader of a church school, and therefore it's very important to me. But I think I believe it in a wider sense than that. Really, for a while I was talking about starting through the pandemic. Obviously, lots of people were feeling very isolated for lots of reasons. Lots of things, people couldn't go to things that they were used to. I toyed with, and I got some way towards, and then in the end didn't. I just kind of swerved it. I was going to set up a weekly humanist.
You were. I remember
service.
you this. Yes.
I was definitely going to do it. I really was, and then in the end, I didn't quite. And then I got the new job, and I just didn't have any time to think about anything. But and I thought, we come together, we hear some inspiring words, we have a sense of being part of something slightly larger than ourselves, and we sing together. And it doesn't matter if we sing Sweet Caroline or if we sing Under the Moon of Love by Shawaddy Waddy. It doesn't matter. The point
Why
is that
might
they
we
did it
sing that, I
together.
wonder?
Because it's a great song. It's an
Yes.
underrated song.
Yeah,
I
it is.
remember it from Top of the Pops. I remember
I
watching
do.
it on Top
And
of
they're
the Pops.
multicoloured jackets. And
They had long draped crepe jackets, didn't they? And I always
they're
thought,
long
that is a
draped,
look.
and they had thin
I
ties.
wanted that look.
Thin black
You-
ties, didn't they?
That's the
And,
way.
and then sort of pastel shades of bright colours jackets. Yeah.
Broke
Shawaddy
my
Waddy. I
heart.
like Shawaddy
About
Waddy.
2 decades later, I would say roughly, a friend of mine told me that he'd supported them on tour. His band had been, and that they were not nice people. I thought,
I reckon
that's a shame.
Shawaddy.
That's a
I reckon,
shame.
yeah, they didn't. I reckon they'd be late night, sort of, Friday night fighters. Shawaddy Waddy, the sort of people
Yeah.
who look smart, but then gets 10 o'clock in your local pub, and they just think, right, it's time for the Friday night fight. We're just going to go and wind someone up. We're just going to kick off a bit. And sorry, Shawaddy Waddy, but there we go. It feels like if we're going to sing Under the Moon of Love now, it feels slightly wrong after that. Anyway, but there we go. Okay, no, not singing church. Disappointing. Have you got any Christmas-related 101s from this year, Ed? My children just giggled all the way through at me. Their children just giggled all the way through. Do you want to sing Under the Moon of Love?
Look at him, ha ha! He's singing in church. Oh no, I'm just picking up the ukulele, wondering if it's in tune. I don't think I've touched it in a couple of months. Enough for folk. Maybe I do it the other side of the news. I'll tell you what, weird drinks you wouldn't normally drink. People are like, oh, have an Advocate, have a Varninx, have a this, have a that. Think, do you know what? I would quite like a nice glass of a decent red wine, or maybe an honest beer. But do not try and make me drink Baileys. Oh, Baileys. Baileys is sufficiently associated with Christmas. Baileys it doesn't need to go in room 101, it can go in the bin. Disgusting, unnecessary fluid.
Okay.
Like it
now I'm gonna have to. I agree with you about Baileys. It is disgusting. It ended any enjoyment I was having of my stag do with a shot of Baileys and a shot of lime cordial. You get the cement mixer and it all curdles in your mouth. And gets me, that was sick inducing. It is horrible. It's a weird drink. However, Ed, I am not going to let it go into room 101 because at my book club Christmas special last year, one of my friends introduced me to the Baby Guinness, and the Baby Guinness is one of those drinks that you are only drunk at Christmas, probably, and it is disgusting. But myself and Ollie and some of his friends and some of my friends and Gemma and some of her friends, they're all very nearly 18. Not Anna, though. She's not ready yet. We had at least a couple. I think Ollie probably had 3 Baby Guinnesses at our Christmas drinks party on the 23rd of December. And it's not pleasant. Baby Guinness, by the way, for anyone who wants to know, is a kind of shot of Tia Maria coffee liqueur with then a shot of Baileys on top, and the Baileys floats like Tia Maria is very dark and looks like the body of the Guinness, and the Baileys looks like the head of the Guinness, and it's not particularly strong because they're both sort of 25%, I suppose, probably, but it's a pretty sweet, creamy, foul thing. It isn't port or a good bottled red wine, no, or whiskey. It's not whiskey either. It's pretty grim, but it's fun. It's fun when you're being silly.
Finch and Payne Cook spotters will be wondering what we were drinking on New Year's Eve, on our New Year's Eve knees up. And I would be wondering too if I hadn't been told by my son, who says that both of us, apparently, if he's not lying, and I don't see any reason why he would, Douglas claims that between us we bought him 5 whiskies and a vodka and lemonade. I don't remember buying any of that. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, mate. Really, it's not very good, is it? He's like, you idiot. Do you know how many whiskies you bought me? I was like, no idea.
No,
amazing. He got us back to the house and spooned us into our respective beds.
We started quite ready. This is our. We will do the news very soon, people. But I think you want to know about on New Year's Eve, as you've heard about.
No, they don't. No, well, let's look at the chat. Maybe they're like, no, move on from this. We came here for inspiring educational ideas.
No. We people know in advance. We're not doing inspiring educational ideas this week. We might come back to them next week. We started with the world's worst curry, didn't we? In Sorry,
it was literally the world's worst curry. I'm sorry. Can I just? All those people out there in Radioland, the 200-300 people who apparently download this in the week, if that's true, I do wonder. If you ever come to Crediton, it's a beautiful, beautiful town, isn't it, Toby? It's beautiful.
It is a nice town. It's a lovely town.
And it's got a lovely church, which was once upon a time a cathedral. It's just a church now, but it was. Crediton was the capital of Devon for a while. Of course, the birthplace of St Boniface, also the place of schooling of Ernest Bevan. Did you know that? I didn't.
Oh wow!
Born in Copplestone, just down the road. Came to school in. So there's lots to recommend the town of Crediton, but we come now to the topic of the Crediton Tandoori, and I would say that I have never had a worse curry in my life.
It wasn't the greatest of stomach linings for us for our night out, but
I felt quite ill on New Year's Day, and
just about stayed down.
It might be to the drinks, but a lot of me were saying it's not the drinks, Ed.
No, it's the curry, Ed. It's definitely the curry. It was nothing to do with the multiple shots of whiskey and pints of beer alternating. But we survived. We survived at the Plymouth Arms, which was a pretty scary pub.
It was scary. Yeah, it was a scary pub with a very scary dog and people who stared at us. We didn't like it. I felt very much like both Withnell and I in that. I felt scared.
It was just like that.
We've come on holiday by mistake. Less than half a mile by my house, but I shan't go in there again.
No,
but we had some lovely times, didn't we?
We had good times and we went back to. What was it? Where did we spend?
We went back to the ship, didn't we?
No, the ship. We had a live band, didn't it? We went back to the the White
Swan. I ride a White Swan. I should remember that. Yeah,
and we liked the White Swan. That was quite good fun. But Quintin, my half brother, he's number 5. In case anyone challenges the name, he lived in Crediton for a bit, and he said there always used to be fights in the White Swan, but not on New Year's Eve. It was lively, fun place.
There was nothing but bonhomie.
It was great. It was great.
Friendliest experiences I've had whilst living in this town, I would say.
Yeah, it was good.
I felt loved and included. I wasn't drunk.
So I've got one more Christmas Room 101, and then we've got to talk about new things and things we're looking forward to in 2023.
Okay.
And we're going to play a bit of tunes on the ukulele, but we've also got to play 8 minutes and 49 seconds of adverts, news, and tech update. Okay, so that's what's happening now, I think. Is that right? And
then we'll come back. Let's go in.
Right, news, people. Back soon.
8 minutes.
This show is brought to you in partnership with John Catt Educational, a leading publisher of books, directories, educational guides, and magazines specifically aimed at forward-thinking schools in the UK and beyond.
Mute.
Have you checked out their latest releases? Don't miss out. Visit johncatbookshop.com to explore their full range of titles and advance your own professional development today. Happy reading.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and this is Teachers Talk Radio News.
Strike action dominates the news again, with a range of outlets reporting on disputes across England, Wales and Scotland. Whilst the NASUWT union reported 9 out of 10 teachers who voted in a ballot over pay voted in favour of strike action in England and Wales, the union also reported only a 42% turnout. This is below the threshold needed for lawful strike action. The union stated that whilst a strike would now not go ahead, the union remains in formal dispute with the government. The NEU is yet to release the results of its ballot and will also need to reach the 50% member turnout needed for lawful industrial action. In Scotland, the Scottish Secondary Teachers Association has warned of further strike action following walkouts by primary and secondary staff. It says it has no option unless the Scottish Government puts forward a suitable pay offer. The AIS union and Scottish NASUWT members also aim to continue with strike action until an agreement is reached. Scottish Education Secretary Shirley-Ann Somerville maintains that the demand for a 10% pay rise continues to be unaffordable. Meanwhile, the University and College Union has announced 15 new strike days planned across 150 UK universities in February and March. It has said that a pay offer worth between 4 and 5% made during recent talks is not enough, although the group representing university employers says that the offer is actually worth up to 7%. This comes after the government announced that tuition fees in England will be frozen for another 2 years. Although this is good news for students, the strikes mean more disruption to courses already affected by the pandemic. However, the National Union of Students has been broadly supportive of the industrial action, at least so far. Away from strike action, there have been further stories focusing on what should be taught in schools. This time, the focus is on educating pupils in the dangers of social media in spreading messages that are misogynistic and deeply toxic. The HuffPost website reports on Labour MP Alex Davies-Jones, who called in Parliament for ministers to do more to stamp out Andrew Tate-style misogyny and to stop boys being brainwashed. The MP asked what was being done to tackle radicalisation of young men, but PM Rishi Sunak responded that he was proud that this government launched the world-leading, world-first online safety bill. He also made reference to the autumn statement announcement of £2 billion of extra funding to schools. Although he did not respond with any direct reference to Tate, the online safety bill is expected to complete its final stages in the Commons shortly, before heading to the House of Lords. New figures released recently show that school absences in December were almost double the annual rate, and that this was due to illness. The absence rate, as reported in the Evening Standard, was 14.3% across state schools in the week beginning December the 12th, an increase from 7.8% across the year. The Department for Education in England said the increase was due to a rise in sick days as a result of winter illnesses such as flu, as well as COVID-19 and strep A infections such as scarlet fever. In the Channel Island of Jersey, BBC News reports that the government has brought in 11 UK supply teachers to cover for absent staff. The short-term and long-term measures have been put in place due to staffing shortages, and the supply teachers will cover for up to 2 terms. Short-term housing has been organised for those travelling to the island. The Jersey government said the current vacancy rate for Jersey was 4.3%, but that the long-term plan was to train, recruit, retain and upskill school staff. Finally, the Meanwhile in the Middle East section of the CNN website reports on the United Arab Emirates' plan to become the first Arab nation to teach about the Holocaust in its schools. The move has been praised by some and criticised by others. The nation revealed its plans in a recent tweet and intends to include Holocaust education in both primary and secondary schools. The UAE says it will work with Tel Aviv and Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Memorial Museum in Jerusalem, to help build the new curriculum. Whilst many see the move as part of the normalisation of relations with Israel, critics suggest that it does not reflect all of those living in the UAE, with many disagreeing with this policy. Full details of the story can be found on the CNN website, with comments on both sides explored in detail. This has been your Teachers Talk Radio News with Joe Fox.
This is 2 Minute Tech with Steve Woods, your tech briefing on Teachers Talk Radio.
Hello, let's start the new year with investigating the power of artificial intelligence in education. A lot of people are asking, does your school block ChatGPT? First of all, what is it? Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer, or GPT for short, is a piece of software designed to mimic talking to a person. The difference is, this person is super clever, and it's been trained by thousands of conversations in the past, and it remembers them all. There are lots of chatbots out there. GPT is popular with young people as the answers it gives are not only correct, but can be slightly different each time, so it's more difficult for a teacher to spot a copy and paste homework. Let's put it to the test with a couple of school questions. I'm using a screen reader to represent ChatGPT to give it a voice. Responses are usually in text and appear as if they're being typed really quickly. I asked, what are the registers in a processor? And I got...
Registers are a type of memory that is built into the central processing unit, CPU, of a computer. They are used to store data and instructions that the CPU needs to access quickly in order to perform its functions. There are different types of registers, each with a specific purpose. For example, the instruction register stores the current instruction that the CPU is executing, while the program counter register stores the address of the next instruction to be executed.
I'll stop GPT there as 3 paragraphs were given in this answer and it's only a 1 or 2 mark question. So I asked, can you tell me in 2 sentences? And I got...
Registers are small, high-speed memory units built into the central processing unit, CPU, of a computer that are used to store data and instructions. They allow the CPU to access and manipulate data and instructions quickly, enabling it to carry out complex tasks at high speeds.
Well, thank you, GPT. That's much more to the point. Powerful, right? How about, can you summarise Of Mice and Men?
Of Mice and Men is a novella by John Steinbeck, published in 1937. It tells the story of George Milton and Lenny Small, 2 displaced migrant ranch workers during the Great Depression in California. Despite their apparent differences, the 2 men are deeply bonded and rely on each other for companionship and support. The novella ends tragically when Lenny, a simple-minded man with a love for soft things, accidentally kills a ranch owner's wife while trying to touch a soft dress, and George is forced to make the difficult decision to euthanize Lenny before he can be punished for the crime.
That's fantastic. However, there's some words in there that are quite big, and my teacher would be quite suspicious that I copied and pasted it. So I'll ask, can you summarise Of Mice and Men simply?
Of Mice and Men is a story about 2 ranch workers, George and Lenny, who are travelling together and looking for work during the Great Depression. Lenny is a large, simple-minded man with a love for soft things, and George is his caretaker and protector. Despite their differences, the 2 men are deeply bonded and rely on each other for companionship and support. However, their relationship is ultimately tested when Lenny accidentally kills a ranch owner's wife, and George is forced to make a difficult decision to protect Lenny from the consequences of his actions.
That's more like it. Now my homework's done, I think I just bought myself some more time on my games console. As always, I'd love to hear what you want to know about tech. Let us know at TT Radio Official. I'm Steve Woods, and that was 2 Minute Tech.
2 Minute Tech with Steve Woods. Your tech briefing on Teachers Talk Radio.
And back in the room. Welcome back, everybody.
Back
Ed,
in
you're going
the
to come off
room.
mute. Yes, he's off mute. Back in the room.
Back in the...
So, have
I'd
you
like
got
to
2 songs
apologise
for
to
us?
the people of Crown House. Right now, I had no idea I was crashing their advert. I thought that I was automatically muted when you press play on the adverts.
No.
Makes me wonder what people have heard in the past when it's been
Oh,
bimble-ing
we've heard
around the
many,
house.
many great things, Ed.
Oh, it's
Many great
terrible.
things.
Terrible.
Have you got 2 songs planned?
I got 2 planned. I can't play
Should
either.
we
as
do
it
one
turns
now? Should we
out.
do one now then?
Come on, well, just because we came up in a conversation earlier,
Yeah, it did.
but it's got 2 bits, isn't it? So it's like it needs a second vocal. You know, you have the sort of the baritone bit doing little repeaty bits of the tenory bit, don't you?
Do you?
Let's go
I need...
for a little walk
What?
under the moon of love. Let's sit down and talk under the moon of love. I want to tell you
That I love you.
No, you say want to tell. I say I want to tell you. You say want to tell you. I say that I love you. You say that I love you. I'm going to.
Oh, okay, go. Let's go do it. Okay.
Let's go for a little walk under the moon of love. Let's sit down and talk under the moon of love. I want to tell you
I want to tell you
that I love you,
that I love you.
and I want you to be my girl. Where does it go after that? Little darling, let's walk, let's talk under the moon of love, under the moon of love. We've got the idea now. Verse 2. You were looking so lovely under the moon of love. Your eyes shining so brightly under the moon of love. I want to go all of the time and be my love tonight. Little darling, let's walk, let's talk under the moon of love, under the moon of love. That was beautiful, wasn't it?
Lovely.
I tell you,
There's
it was a
another
great show
verse.
that we've probably got more latency than. Oh, there's a bridge. I want to talk, sweet talk, and whisper things in your ears.
No,
and
okay.
tell you lots of things.
Let's
And
leave
then,
it. Let's
there
leave it.
is verse 3. Let's not. It's basically
Let's
verse
not.
1 again.
Let's not. Okay.
And then there's a drum solo.
There's a
And
drum.
then there's a bridge again.
There you go.
The song goes on and on. Yeah.
It does. Yeah, no,
Where were we?
that was lovely. Good. Where were we?
It was beautiful, wasn't it?
We were talking about your Christmas drinks into Room 101, weird drinks.
Yeah. Weren't we
we
going to move on to
New Year's
Were we
stuff.
going to move on to resolutions, or
Yes.
rather, what we're looking for?
Can I just
Positive
do
feelings
one?
about 2023.
Oh, yeah, we are going to do that. I'm going to have. I just need 30 seconds more indulgence to
All right,
round
30 seconds.
out.
You can have it. We've got 11 minutes left in the show.
Okay.
Take 30 seconds of it.
So Christmas Run 101, chutney. People who bring you a homemade chutney as a present, particularly
if I wanted chutney, I would have bought it.
It's like it. Yes, bring me
That's
a bottle
not a present.
Of wine. Bring
That's
me
just the stuff that was in the bottom of the compost bin. You decided to heat it up with lots of vinegar.
Yes, but it's not just.
I know. Sometimes I don't even know if they have heated up with vinegar. Sometimes I just think they've scraped the bottom of the compost caddy. You don't need the one next to the sink. They just scraped it into an old jam jar.
It's the proudness,
and you're meant to be grateful. Oh, thank you.
Why are you doing that with your time as well? Why? If you've got, yes, I mean, make your own marmalade for yourself and make your own chutney for yourself. Don't share it with other people, please. Unless you're manufacturing it commercially, then share it with other people, but not as a present. No, it's just a weird thing to do. Read a book, go for a walk, have a pint. Don't make chutney in your own time. It's weird. There you go.
Are there any exceptions to that? I'm trying to think. Like, would you cover? I make a very, very good chili. It's like a chili jam.
Yes, Ed. I like chili jam.
It makes the house stink for weeks. It makes the house stink for weeks, mostly of vinegar. It burns. My hands tingle for days. I have to be very careful about what I touch. If you know what I mean. But it is brilliant. And I give that to people thinking that I'm doing a huge favour. I say, it goes very well with Stilton. Am I fooling myself?
No.
Am I lying to myself?
I'll make an exception. But I suppose some people
I think that's
do
because you
like
like me.
I like
Lucy
you.
says
and I
lemon
like
curd is worthwhile. Lemon curd is worthwhile because shop-bought lemon curd is never...
Shop-bought lemon curd tastes like fairy liquid, doesn't it?
It does, whereas... Actually, I don't know when I last had a decent lemon curd. Do you make your own lemon curd, Lucy? And if so, can I slip you an address?
She's a brilliant cook, isn't she, Lucy? She certainly takes good photos and talks a good talk about being a brilliant cook. I haven't actually tasted any of her food. It might be disgusting, but I suspect it's really rather wonderful.
Well, I think we should
challenge her to cook for us. Lucy, cook for us.
Or at least post us lemon curd.
Post us lemon curd.
Lucy, I will post you one of my famous lino cut prints if you will send me a jar of lemon curd.
Is that okay? That's one of your New Year's resolutions. Is you're going to send Lucy a lino cut print, and she is going to resolve to send you a jar of lemon curd.
No, that's seriously, wonderful. On this, I said, because it's the sort of thing that a good head teacher would do, and I like to pretend to be a good head teacher. I said to the children, we're going to make some New Year's resolutions as a school, and I'm going to make a New Year's resolution, and you're going to hold me to account, and I'm going to hold us all to account. So I said, I've resolved, thinking quickly, because I may not have planned it very full in advance, I'm going to do some art every week. I know it's good for my well-being. I know it makes me feel happy and more satisfied that I'm still a creative person, despite the job I do, if I get to do a bit of art every week. So I'm going to do that. And every Friday in assembly, you're going to ask me, Mr. Finch, have you done any art this week? And if I have, I'm going to show you what I've done. I thought that was lovely. And then we made some New Year's resolutions as a school that we were going to care for our community and that we were going to, the sorts of things you do. Anyway, since then, they didn't get the message they're going to ask me once a week on a Friday. Every time we start assembly, I light a candle and try to look holy, and there's a forest of hands, and I say, yes, what is it, George? And George says, have you done any art this week? So you're going to ask me on Friday. And the answer is going to be no, because I've had a terrible week. I've done no art yet this year. What's the date? It's the 18th. I've done...
I'll tell you what
2.5 weeks of no art, and I'm really over it. And they keep asking me.
No, what you need is a load of big pots of paint on the stage, if you have a stage in your hall, or just behind you. And you just say, right, I haven't done any art.
I'm doing it now.
But we're going to do a live Jackson Pollock in a set. I'm going to throw this all over all of you.
Oh dear. It's only one of the
Massive
children.
Stone Roses album cover or photo shoot.
That'd be good.
wall.
One of the children said, "Mr. Finch, you have done art." I said, "I'm really not sure I have." What are you talking about? He goes, "You taught us how to design a William Morris wallpaper." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know that counts. If it's done in whiteboard pen on a shiny white surface, I don't think it counts as art. Do you?"
Oh,
It does, Mr. Finch. Thank you. You've got me out of trouble.
Everything is art. Everything is art. If it's filmed and then put on
Anyway.
a wall in an art
So
gallery.
that's
it's
my
all art.
resolution. I'm semi-serious.
All
But
art.
I'm not semi. I'm entirely serious about it.
That's
I'm
a
going to
good
do
one.
some art every week because it makes me feel better about myself. I don't kid myself on that it's any good or that, what I quite enjoy is posting it to people and then forcing them to look like they're grateful. So they open some terrible envelope and this awful thing I've done falls out and they have to tweet me.
Doing more art, I think that's a really good New Year's resolution. Maxim has put some very good ones. He wants to learn to tap dance and also to conduct with a stick. Okay.
Conduct what with a stick? Oh, no, that's great.
Yes.
That's brilliant. Learn to tap
Conduct
dance
a
and also
fight.
conduct with a stick. And Maxim, have you told the children at school this is happening? And are they asking you every Friday in assembly? Because I will cross over. I will come to the Isle of Man and I will tap dance with you. Yes, he has.
Yes.
Oh,
Brilliant.
Maxim.
Oh, you could
I
do a
love that,
Morecambe
man.
and Wise. You can get Angela Rippon involved and do a tap dance together on the Isle of Man. in
Angela
Douglas.
Rippon jumped the shark a couple of weeks ago, didn't she? Sadly, but
Did she?
I
didn't
think
know that.
Well, she accepted the shilling from GB News and said some things that made you think, "Oh, I thought you were like a national treasure," and it turns out you were a newsreader. But I mean, no, it was a bit of a sad
She's over
thing.
80,
But
isn't
anyway,
she? She's over 80. That's what happens.
She is. Anyway,
Just
Maxim, are you
please
like
don't
so?
let it
Are
happen
you
to
doing a
me.
weekly? I want to know about this. Are you doing like weekly little displays of what you've learned so far? Step ball change, jazz hands. I'm waiting on just looking at my chat now to see if he's going to say yes. I hope he is. I reckon I could fake the conducting. I reckon I could get away with that. And I reckon I could fake the tap dancing so long as there was somebody off stage with a set of spoons. But then you have to have special shoes for that. That's quite an expensive outlay for a hobby that may not last.
I don't really have any New Year's resolutions that I can. I do have New Year's plans, but I can't really talk about them.
But you haven't resolved to
change.
So that's just dream.
No, I have resolved. No. I think there's going to be. I've had a lot of change in my personal life, a lot of change in my domestic life, and those are all very settled and sorted now, and very happy in my new house. And the girls are very happy in our new house as well when they're with me. But some change, some slight tweaks professionally. But I'm not going to say any more right now.
So are you not giving up any vices?
I'm not. Am I giving up any vices? No, I'm taking up.
I
vices.
thought you'd
I'm not
resolve
giving
to
up.
spend less money on second-hand vinyl.
Oh, I've resolved to spend less money on secondhand vinyl unless the professional changes are prosperous. Yes, until resolved. Then yes.
Until I've listened to all the records I bought in 2022, I'm not allowed to buy any in 2023.
I think I have almost now. I listened to John Otway the other day, and that was a £5 from somewhere. I have. I think I'm doing quite well. I've been enjoying all the vinyl chat that I did before Christmas, and all the with Graham Andre, all the Twitter Music Club, the album stuff. We're having a lot of fun with that, aren't we? Lucy and other people who listen back, Richard Newbold and Ed Ben Brown, Ed Round Tables, etc. We're quite enjoying all that sort of stuff. Anyway, but I do resolve to go to WOMAD again this year. So far, I have bought a ticket. So I'm looking forward to that. So any teachers
Have we any idea who's on the lineup? Do we know?
No, but it doesn't matter at WOMAD, does it? Because WOMAD is full of there'll be one or two people who I've heard of and who I like, but there'll be a lot of just incredible musicians from all over the world doing their incredible thing, slightly struggling for visas and stuff in this ridiculous Brexit
I understand
world.
that has been a big challenge for the
big challenge for WOMAD.
Yeah.
Big challenge for WOMAD. Brexit has not been good for live music and music music migration and music traveling. No, not good.
Right, to me, I don't think it is. Probably isn't it for me. The great era of WOMAD that for me was my WOMAD movement was the time when all that Malian music was absolutely banging. You know,
Yeah,
so you'd have Tamani Tabati on one stage, and
and
you'd have
Baba
Baba
Baba Mol Senegalese, isn't he? Yeah, but yeah, Ale Farka Touré and all that sort of stuff. Yes.
all of that. I remember seeing Ali Fakatoure
Yeah.
at one of the Reading WOMADs back in the day. And obviously, Mali is just struggling like no country on earth, isn't it? I say that, and then you think of a list of other countries that are also struggling. I don't know. I'll be interested. I would really like to go. Can I afford it? And can I bear the thought of festival camping? Can I bear the thought of it?
I didn't think I could until I had a chat with Shades, and he said, "Come on, we were supposed to be going in 2020, and then we didn't go because of the COVID, and then I got my ticket. Then I carried the ticket over to 2021, and WOMAD was last minute cancelled 2021 as well, and so and then I didn't. I got a refund before 2022 because I needed money for other things, but this year I thought, no, we're doing it. So that's it. So nothing big on the January thing, but let's get rid of January. Let's look forward to 2023. It can only get better, I think. Is my thought for the day. It's not started very well, and it's going to still be a bit bleak for a while. Collectively, individually, it started fine, but collectively, it's tough out there. And so let's resolve that by the end of the year, things are looking a bit better. They probably won't be, but let's hope. Hope's important, and laughter and music. Ed, music is always important. So over to you.
Music was my
to
first
end the
love.
show. Music is my first love, and you, my dear. Music. So what are we some big people have died.
Carry on, carry on talking. I'm doing like one of those intros where you talk over the intro, right?
Big people have died. Musical icons have died recently. One of them, I like his music, his band's music, and some of the songs they covered as well very much. This is, I think, am I right, Ed? R.I.P. Terry Hall.
Terry Hall. This town is coming like a ghost town. All the clubs have been closed down. This place is coming like a ghost town. Bands won't play no more. Too much fighting on the dance floor. Now, can I do the key shift?
Oh, no.
Do you remember the good old days before the ghost town?
Oh.
No, I can't. We danced and sang, music played in the moon town. Oh yes, here we go. This town is coming like a ghost town. Why must the youth fight against themselves? Government, you all show. I can't be
ghost town.
There you go.
Yeah.
Done that. Didn't do it very well, but I did it. And anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's 2 minutes past 10, so we've run over. Unless there are any important words that you feel you need to say, Toby.
Ed, over to you to finish the show for a change. Go on, say goodbye to everyone. Thank you, because I talk too much. I was pretty
sure you were going to say congelifraction and you missed the thing. I'm going to do that
I
again.
missed it.
So unless there are any words that you want to say before we go, Toby?
Yes. I'll tell you what, Ed, congelifraction.
Great word.
Why don't we next week? I've got an emotional dictionary by Susie Dent sitting by my to help me with my writing, and it's just enjoyable. So I think we could talk about words next week. Let's bring some words that we've enjoyed.
Words.
Yeah,
and words. I can do that one. Can't
some
I?
of our favourite words and favourite words that you in your teaching as well. So English teachers. English teachers in primary or secondary, words that they enjoy teaching or seeing in children's writing, and words
that we can't. I'll tell you what. You know, when you're reading a piece
words
of
you hate seeing in children's writing as well.
Yeah, you're
Words
reading a
that you
piece.
hate
It's year 2, and they've started writing, and you're so pleased because they've started spilling it out on the page, and then it comes, doesn't it? It comes. You know it's going to come, and it does come. And it's just a disappointing every time. Ginormous.
Ginormous.
I don't need you to say ginormous. That is
ginormous
not
and
good.
humongous, and then 15
Lord.
adjectives and 25
Children, there's
adverbs.
very good words you could be using. You don't need to say ginormous. You could say Leviathan. That would be a good word, wouldn't it? We don't say that. Anyway. I had a child who spotted.
I think that's quite a nice
I said,
one.
I'd like you to write a little more this week because I know you got some good ideas and you express them well, but you're not writing very much. I'd just like to see a little bit more writing on the page by the end of the session. And she realised very quickly that if she put very, very in front of every adjective, she could fill up the page pretty quick.
Brilliantly. And she could end every sentence like superfragilalistic expialidocious or something.
Oh, Lordy. We weren't meant to be talking about that. That's for next week.
Shall we do that next week?
The wonder of words.
Let's do the wonder of words.
I'll put out a little Twitter thread and everybody hopefully will share words that they just love.
Yes.
Like crepuscular and micturation. And that'll be a fine show, I think. A fine
Nebulous.
Right.
Word.
And until then, friends and relatives, Toby will say goodnight, and then I will say goodnight, and then we will kill the app. Are you ready? Say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
You've been listening to Teachers Talk Radio. Tune in live and listen back at ttradio.org. We look forward to hearing from you next time on Teachers Talk Radio.